she found a lost wallet with $480 inside, just enough to save her from being homeless. But what she did next changed 2 lives forever. You're watching StoryGen, true stories that remind us humanity still exists. It was one of those cold autumn mornings when the world feels heavy, the sky grey, the wind sharp, and even your thoughts seem to weigh more than usual. The streets of Maple Ridge were nearly empty, except for the rustle of fallen leaves dancing along the pavement. Emma Carter walked slowly down Main Street, her old coat pulled tight against the chill. Her face looked tired, not from lack of sleep, but from life being a little too hard for a little too long. Just 3 days ago, she had lost her job at the bookstore. Rent was due in 72 hours, and her bank account showed $23.16. Her landlord had already warned her, "If you're late again, I'll have to find someone else." Emma had no family nearby, no savings, no plan. Just a quiet, aching fear that maybe, just maybe, she wouldn't make it this time. She stepped into a corner cafe, the kind with fogged-up windows and the smell of roasted coffee beans in the air. She ordered the cheapest cup on the menu, a plain black coffee, and sat by the window, watching people pass by. Couples with shopping bags, parents with kids, people who looked like they had somewhere to go, something to look forward to. Emma took a slow sip and whispered under her breath, "I just wish something good would happen for once." As she walked out moments later, her eyes caught something half buried under a pile of wet leaves by the curb, a brown leather wallet. She picked it up, brushed off the dirt, and looked around. The street was empty. No one seemed to be searching for it. Inside, she found a driver's license, a few credit cards, some old receipts, and then she froze. $480 in cash. Her heart skipped. $480, almost exactly what she needed for rent. For a moment, everything around her went quiet. The world seemed to stop spinning. Maybe this is a sign, she thought. Maybe it's finally my turn. Her fingers trembled as she held the money, imagining the relief. The rent paid, the heat back on, a little food in the fridge. She could finally breathe again. Then something small slipped from the wallet. A photo. It was an old picture of an elderly man with kind eyes, smiling with a little girl on his lap. On the back, faded handwriting read, "To Grandpa George, love, Emily." Emma stared at it for a long moment. Her heart softened. Whoever this man was, he wasn't just someone who lost his wallet. He was someone's grandfather, someone who was loved. That night, she sat alone at her small kitchen table. The wallet lay in front of her, and her cracked phone buzzed with another rent reminder. The heater had been broken for weeks, and she could see her breath in the cold air. Her heart battled her mind. She whispered to herself, "No, I can't. It's not mine." With a sigh, she opened her old laptop and searched the name on the driver's license. George Hensley, Maple Ridge. After scrolling through a few local listings, she found an address across town. It was late. The rain had started. But something inside told her she had to do it now. She grabbed her umbrella, pulled on her worn-out coat, and stepped into the night. The bus ride felt endless. Raindrops slid down the window as streetlights flickered past. She thought about her life, how every time she tried to do the right thing, it seemed to make things harder. But tonight felt different. Maybe it wasn't about what she'd get back. Maybe it was about who she wanted to be. When she arrived, she found a small white house at the end of a quiet lane. The porch light was dim, and the mailbox said, Hensley in faded paint. She hesitated, then knocked softly. After a pause, a frail voice called from inside. Doors open. She stepped in. The house smelled of old books and time. By the window sat an elderly man in a wheelchair, a blanket over his legs, staring at a framed photo. The same one she'd seen in the wallet. Mr. Hensley, she said softly. He turned, his eyes tired but warm. Yes? I think this belongs to you. She held out the wallet. His hands trembled as he took it. When he saw the photo inside, his eyes filled with tears. Oh, I thought it was gone forever, he whispered. Thank you. You have no idea how much this means to me. Emma smiled gently. I figured you might want it back. He looked at her closely. You're shivering. Please, sit down. Let me get you some tea. She hesitated, but finally nodded. As he poured the tea with shaky hands, he said quietly, You know, I was out earlier to get groceries. Must have dropped it near the bus stop. My granddaughter Emily. She passed away 3 years ago. That photo's all I have left. Emma felt a lump in her throat. She looks like she was special. She was my world, he whispered. They talked for a while. About books, about life, about losing people and finding small kindnesses in unexpected places. When Emma stood to leave, George reached into his pocket and pulled out one of the bills. Please, he said, take this. You could have kept the whole thing, but you didn't. You deserve something for your honesty. Emma shook her head. I can't take your money, sir. Then, he said, smiling faintly. At least, let me give you something else. He wheeled over to a drawer, opened it, and handed her a small envelope. I don't know why, but I feel like you might need this more than I do. When she got home, she opened it. Inside was a handwritten note and a check for $500. The note read, Kindness has a way of finding its way back. GH tears filled her eyes. For the first time in months, she felt seen. Not for what she didn't have, but for who she was. The next morning, Emma paid her rent. The landlord, surprised, muttered, Didn't think you'd pull it off. She just smiled. But that wasn't the end. A week later, Emma received a call from a local community center. The woman on the line said, Mr. George Hensley told us about you. We run a small library program, and we're looking for someone with experience in books. He said you'd be perfect. Emma blinked in disbelief. Wait, he recommended me? Yes, the woman replied. He said you reminded him of his granddaughter, kind, honest, and full of heart. Emma took the job. It didn't pay much, but it was steady, and it gave her something far more valuable than money: purpose. Sometimes she'd visit George, bringing him homemade cookies or reading aloud from his favorite novels. He'd always smile and say, See, I told you. Kindness always finds its way back, and she believed him. Because that lost wallet didn't just save one life, it brought 2 lonely hearts back to life. One who had lost hope, and one who had lost family. You're watching StoryGen. If this story touched your heart, share it. Because someone out there might just need a little faith restored today. And don't forget to subscribe